Hi, everyone. It's Peter Ciotti here for another episode of my Fearless Media podcast. And today I am joined by Dmitry Shapiro, who's the co-founder of and the CEO, of course, of Koji, which is a great company that I've watched from the very beginning. So, Dmitry, great to see you.
Great to see you.
And where are you today?
I'm in lovely San Diego, California, where it's typically sunny, but today is kind of cloudy. And I'm at my co-founder's house in his living room, which has been turned into an office since the pandemic started.
Yeah, truly the entrepreneurial way. And I'm in San Diego as well, as you know. And so, but we're separated by distance here. So we'll get right into it. But everybody out there, I just want to say that Dmitry is somebody I've known now for, 20 years, just about 20 years. And so I've followed and been really closely connected with Dmitry and his entrepreneurial journey all along the way. And I frequently write about you and your team. Huge believer in your company, but just in terms of all the people I've come across in the course of my career, and I've come across many people who are very visionary, Dmitry is among the very top in terms of seeing trends before they become a reality, having the ingenuity and the chops to be able to actually execute and build things. And he's been a successful entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, also a top product manager at Google for a number of years, among other things. So Dmitry is truly the real deal when it comes to innovation. And so I think it's going to be pretty fascinating for all of you to hear about this company and some of its most recent news. But, and the most recent news is just, I think we're recording this on Friday. So on Wednesday, I think it was, where you just announced a Series B round of $20 million, which is not surprising, but a huge feat. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's wonderful. Tell us about that a little bit. First of all, describe what Koji is to everybody.
So depends on who everybody is. The interesting part of Koji is a bit different. For creators, for people who engage other people in social media, Koji is a sort of a new type of a thing. It's a global profile that a creator can make and sort of take into all of the social networks that they use. So all the social networks themselves have their own profiles with the capabilities that those profiles provide. Koji is something that sits above that, the global profile, sort of the entire Peter, that is web-based, so it's a link. And so you can create it, you can customize it, you can add all of these capabilities to it. We call these mini apps, think of them as like modules that extend the capabilities of this profile. And then you can take that link to your profile and link to it from all of your other profiles inside of social media. Now, there have been services before, typically known as like link in bio services. One's called Linktree, for example, which allowed you to do a piece of that, which is to have a global profile that just linked out to places. What we've introduced to sort of the space is that this profile is, one, extremely expressive. It's extraordinarily customizable, so you can really make it sort of your own. Two is it's extensible again by these modules. Today we have 205 of them. And these modules sort of think of them as like features that you can add to your profile. They do different things. Some allow you to sell, digital goods on your profile. Some allow you to sell physical goods. Some allow you to crowdsource content from your fans, or sort of many other things. And so anyway, so we offer this very unique and very powerful canonical global profile that's customizable, extensible, and portable, goes everywhere. So that's for creators.
By the way, for all you creators out there, for everybody out there, Dmitry is going to actually be doing a demo to show you exactly what he means by everything he's saying. But it sounds like it's some like super bio, a super app essentially that can link to everything. And so it's incredibly powerful. But anyhow, continue on.
The demo will certainly help.
Yeah.
The other really important part about this global profile is that these features, these modules, these mini apps can be created by any developer in the world, right? These are full stack JavaScript applications, right? They're web apps. And so we're a new app store for these mini apps, for these 205 today, but soon, there'll be thousands and hopefully eventually millions of these apps. And so it encourages the world's software developers to show up and very rapidly extend the capabilities of this global profile. Mm-hmm. And this is a very unique take on, what has been known as the creator economy, where you've got, 150 or so companies, each providing sort of a part of a solution. And then sort of creators have to take these parts and cobble them together and like manage all these platforms. And Koji sort of introduces this new way that you only have to have one platform that you manage, which is Koji, and then you as a creator choose from all of these apps that you can add on to that profile. And so it completely changes the dynamics for both creators as well as people that in the past might have needed to, if they wanted to create something, to start a whole new company. In order to do that, now they can just show up to Koji, and instead of starting a company, they can just build an app and put it in our app store, and we provide identity and payments and distribution and all of that to these creators. And today we have over 150,000 creators that are using Koji, and obviously growing from there.
So you've created this app store, this marketplace that is actually very disruptive to some existing marketplaces that are out there, right?
Yes. Our goal obviously is not to disrupt. It's to evolve. But certainly there are some incumbents that might find this to be extraordinarily disruptive. Because, these sort of last generation creator economy tools were mostly built by sort of media folks that said, oh, there's a problem, I see it, I'll build a simple, thing and take it to market. And they became very successful in doing that. And we sort of approached the space as technologists with this, development platform and runtime environment and app store and sort of everything integrated together. And that's a very certainly disruptive approach to it.
Yeah, and your background, obviously you've been this visionary technologist who I've known forever, but since you worked as the CTO of MySpace back in the day and worked at Google for a number of years, as well as your other previous companies, content deeply well. So in terms of being able to interact with content, but from a hardcore developer visionary perspective, that's what's so exciting about Koji. And you mentioned that you have, I think, 150,000 influencers right now. Can you give just a couple examples of some of the influencers who are using Koji and what they're doing with it?
Sure. We tend to use the word creator instead of influencer.
Okay, yeah.
I think not to say that there are folks that are influencers, and we have those using Koji. Lauren Gray, for example, is one of the largest TikTokers in the world. She's got like 54 million subs on TikTok, or Baby Ariel, I think it's at 27 million. And so there's many of these like large creators that you might call influencers that are using Koji. But also there's this long tail, think of like the middle class of creators that we think is a really important part of it. And that's really who we're focused on enabling are those creators. And there I'll give you one example. There's a gentleman named Kyle Smith, who was most recently a sheriff's deputy, who didn't much, like being a sheriff's deputy and gained a bunch of weight, decided to get in shape and in 6 months lost 60 pounds. And as part of that, figured out how to eat better, how to eat, food that fills you up but has low calories. And then put it together using Canva into a cookbook. He has 16,500 followers on Instagram. That's not a lot. Certainly wouldn't be called an influencer.
Right.
And of course, I've cleared this with him that I can disclose some of these things here that I'm about to disclose to you. Yeah. But in the last 30 days has made over $12,000 in his Koji profile, via his Koji profile inside of Instagram, TikTok, selling this cookbook that he put together using Canva. And I talked to him last Friday, and he's like, I've never made this much money, in my life like this. And it's like, it's changed my life. It's fundamentally changed what I do.
Good for him. That's exciting.
Yeah, and so we're seeing a bunch of those types of, folks show up that, no brand in a sense would be chasing them and giving them sponsorships. But because they provide value, and because we give them, these really easy to use tools to engage other people, that they are making a living. And so we've got a bunch of folks that are making now thousands of dollars a month inside of Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and sort of everywhere.
Well, it's the ultimate promise of directly connecting creators with their fans, with the people who support them and want to support their art or creativity or their information or whatever it may be, have the direct relationship with them and support them directly and get the benefits directly from them, rather than going through some middle layer. And that's what's exciting about it. So you don't have somebody who's taking a cut of 45% of your videos or whatever it may be. So so for those out there who want to see some of the influencers, I think you have a number of them that are identified on your Koji website, correct?
Yeah.
So like everybody, it's with Koji, WITHKOJI.com. Check it out, because there's a lot of information there about the kind of people who are using, but like Dmitry said, it's for all creators. So the mega influencers, and Lauren Gray is one of them, as you mentioned, and then going to middle market, but essentially anybody can bring this in to their bio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are people who have, less than 1,000, followers.
Yeah.
That are making money, hundreds of dollars, high hundreds of dollars a month, via Koji, because, Kevin Kelly talked about 1,000 true fans. So I think he's spot on. If you're providing value to people, people have a desire, like they need to express themselves and to you and thank you, right? And if you give them an easy way to do that, then they are happy. And they do it. It's counterintuitive. People don't realize that if you don't give people the interfaces to say thank you, it's your fault for doing it, because you're frustrating the people with whom you're having these relationships.
It makes total sense. And then there's also all kinds of fun little apps out there that could be included. So just to expand your profile to make it more immersive or energized. So you're going to let me talk a little bit about your business model. Just describe that briefly, and then we'll get into the demo.
Yeah, so we function like an app store. We allow developers to create these mini apps that creators can then add to their profile.
Yeah.
And if some of these mini apps facilitate financial transactions, they allow these creators to sell things or receive tips or things like that. And we facilitate all of that, and we take a percentage of the transaction.
Yeah.
But a lower percentage of the transaction than sort of alternatives that they would use.
Right, exactly.
There's a company out there called Cameo, which is a great company, facilitates, creators sort of selling custom videos by request of their fans, right? And they charge 25% to do that. So the creator gets 75%. By the way, unless that happens on iOS, and then they charge another 30% because of the tax.
Exactly.
The creator only gets 45%. We have a competitive offering to that that's called Shout Out. It's a mini app in our app store that you can add to your link in bio. In fact, I'll demo it in a second. And that only charges 5%. Doesn't matter if you use it on iOS or Android or desktop. And so the creator gets to keep 95%. Well, that's powerful. Right?
Absolutely, it is. So for all you creators out there, it's, first of all, the breadth of different apps and functionality that you can bring in and drop dead easily. That's the beauty of it. And then you see from the direct revenue generation, and a small fraction is paid out to Koji. So much less than is given to any other platform, and you have it all, and you can take your profile anywhere. And so you're not locked into any kind of ecosystem, which is really powerful. Let's talk about your $20 million round, and then we'll do the demo, because that's massive news, of course. For any time anybody closes any round of financing, it's a great thing. But $20 million is a significant amount of capital. So tell us who participated in this round, and just some other thoughts that you had about doing this raise.
Yeah, so this round was led by Jump Capital out of Chicago, who are awesome, very active investors, both in sort of traditional venture and crypto, and Koji sort of in the middle of these two very sort of powerful, trends today, which is the creator economy, being able to engage each other even more digitally and make a living doing it. And then obviously, sort of what's known as Web3, and they're actually, sisters, cousins, however you want to look at them, they're related.
Right.
And we're in the nexus of all of that. So Jump was a perfect partner to lead the round. And then there are actually a long list of parties participating.
Well, I'll mention one of them just because I know them well, and they're deeply, deeply respected, as are others, obviously, who are investing in the company. But Bitcraft Ventures had initially had participated, I think perhaps even led the last round of financing, right?
Bitcraft are awesome. They led our seed round.
Okay, your seed round, right.
So have been involved with us since the beginning of Koji.
And Bitcraft is one of the, they're one of the best investors that are in the whole world of Web 3.0, as well as games and esports. Really smart people. And so for them to identify you guys as the real deal is quite a badge of honor. And then to continue on, because I think they participated in this last round too. For sure.
Yeah, look, they, I can safely say that if it wasn't for Bitcraft, we wouldn't be where we are today. They and Moonshots Capital were, there at the very beginning. And then Galaxy Interactive led our Series A.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and here, look, there's a long list, HBSC Ventures, which focuses on sports, Electric Feel Ventures, which focuses on music, Advisory Capital and Metaversal, which focus on Web3. University Growth Ventures obviously focuses on sort of connection of education and colleges into all of this. And then lots of really interesting, individuals participated in this, which I actually think, also is a very important, if you're looking at like signals of who's leading and who's participating, what do these investors say? The technologists that joined us here clearly point to this being, obviously the platform play, the tech play in the creator economy space.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll put from the very beginning, your initial capital were from some of the top minds in Silicon Valley, some of the top names. I won't tick them off because I'm not sure if they're public or not public, so I won't. But Galaxy Interactive, I know them really well. I know, Sam Engelbart over there is a really smart guy, and his team over there is really smart. And for them to lead the Series A, and then you have Bitcraft leading the seed, and then continuing to participate. This is the who's who when it comes to Web3, blockchain type investors, but creator economy, all of that. These are the ones that you want. And for everybody to come into here tells you something about this company and what you built. So now show us what that is. You've described it a little bit. So if you can just kind of do a demo and kind of walk it through for those who are going to be listening too, because there are going to be some who are going to be watching it this way, and then some who are going to be listening in the audio podcast format.
Sure.
And I remember while you're gearing up there, I remember sitting in a cafe, a coffee shop, when you first had your idea of Koji, and a few years back. And as soon as you said described what the vision was, Just like when you described another vision 2 decades before that, you had me at hello. I totally got it, believed in it, believed you could build it, and you did then, and you're doing it again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, so hopefully you can see my iPhone here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to do this demo on an iPhone and using Instagram. But it's very important. Well, can you still see it? Yeah, it's very important to understand that Koji is a web-based service, right? So there's no Koji native app in any app store, and so Koji works everywhere. And so this is just regular Instagram. There's nothing special about this Instagram app that I'm showing you here. It's just regular Instagram on iOS. This is another creator that uses Koji. This is a Canadian actor named Graham Wardle. As you can see here, it says Cameo bookings every Monday. And then here's his link in bio, Koji. He used to use Linktree and a number of other services, but prefers Koji. I just tap that link in bio, and it loads his global profile. And this is powered by Koji. So he's configured it to look like this and behave like this. Now, the only app opened on my phone is Instagram, right? This is the Instagram browser, the Instagram web view. And these things that have these little lightning bolts next to them, these are Koji mini apps. The rest are just dumb links. And these mini apps can be nested. And so I'm going to tap on the social media links here. And as you can see, this is just another Koji within a Koji. And this is where Graham has put his link to Cameo. Now, why is the link to Cameo, in a sense, so hidden here? Well, let's tap it and see. So this is what happens when a creator links somebody to their Cameo profile. It's quite confusing, isn't it? It's hard to know how to order a video from him. Do I need to join the fan club? Do I need to log in? What is the special offer? And so I would argue this is not a very good user experience here. So I'm going to go back. Now, this first app that he calls video and uses this icon for, in our app store, we call this shout out. This is our competitor to Cameo as a mini app. Now, why does he call it video and have this icon? It's because he's been using our built-in analytics that finally allow creators to do, A/B testing across all social networks, across all operating systems, and across all apps, across all of these different capabilities. And they have visibility on what works better. And right now, this is working better than other things he has tried. Here, I'm going to tap that. And as you can see, it loads directly on top of his profile, meaning in his profile. We didn't go anywhere. He can introduce it via a video. I know exactly how to order a custom video from him. I push this big blue button. And here we've made this sort of dramatically simpler as well. To order a Cameo requires a consumer to fill out quite a lengthy form, including phonetically spelling the name of their loved one. People find that extraordinarily hard.
Yeah.
We simplified that. You can simply enable the camera. I'm not going to do that here, but you enable the camera and you can say, Graham, it's my mom's birthday. She's a huge fan. Please wish her a happy birthday. Her name is Irina. Irina. I can do that in seconds, pay him for it directly inside his profile, and still be around to engage with all the other things he'd like me to engage with, like to support his podcast. This is our tip jar. And so I can give him a donation. And I will. I'll give him $10 here and say, you rock. And then say send tip. This here, while it looks like Apple Pay, this is actually Koji Pay. And behind the scenes, it's Stripe as a payment processor, but we abstracted it, made it really simple.
Yeah.
If you've never used Koji Pay before, you have to take out your wallet, but only once. And it doesn't matter if you're inside of Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or whatever, or iOS or Android or desktop. It's associated with your phone number and email address. And from then on, you have global payments across all operating systems, all social services, etc. And so I can say pay. And so I just spent $10 USD inside of Graham's profile, inside of Instagram, on iOS. He just got an SMS push notification saying he has money in his digital wallet. He can withdraw it at any time. And of course, the power here for Koji is even though we did this inside of Instagram, there is no rev share with Instagram because we're just using them as a browser.
Yeah.
And even though we did this on iOS, we have no native app and no relationship with Apple or Google, and therefore don't have to pay any of these taxes. And so there is no rev share with any of those. And of course, the user experience, as you saw, is much more seamless than sending somebody to Cameo or Patreon or OnlyFans or Kajabi or Gumroad.
Yeah.
All these things. It just happens where the creator already has a relationship with their fans. And by the lowering of that friction, obviously you get more conversion and more happiness for fans. And then for you as a creator, well, the management time required to manage all of these different services is excruciating to creators. I talk to every creator that will spend time with me.
Yeah.
Unanimously, they have this like existential crisis right now. They finally found something they love to do, to create content. And they're frustrated that they have no time to do it because they're spending all their time managing these platforms.
Yeah.
And so show up and say, look at this. Again, like they get teary-eyed sometimes.
I'm sure.
This
it's pretty mind-blowing. And so creators, obviously, who are trying to figure it out themselves, but whether they have their own management teams or their own teams of people who are marketing specialists, social media specialists, to be able to have this kind of a tool to them that is immediately available. They may not even know functionality that they could be integrating, right? Because all these services that are out there and they can't be aware of everything. So now you have this app store, essentially the one and done. You can select everything you want. And in the demo, you showed the way that he did it and configured and all the kinds of things. Like you said, he did his A/B testing, what works best. And that was easily configurable. All those different options and whistles and bells and sliders and all of that. The levers can be pulled right there really easily. Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it's again, it's fascinating when we speak with creators.
Yeah.
They've always heard sort of be data driven and use analytics, but they've never really sort of, known how to do that. And now that they've got these tools and they're really easy and sort of intuitive, they're like, I finally understand what all of you techies have been saying. That this is like, of course I should be experimenting and testing. And there's radically different performance that happens once you tune these things up.
Well, sure. When it's all integrated in one place. And as you saw, you didn't have to jump around from different site to different site. It's all there and you can go back. And so your profile never goes away. You never lose control of that as the creator. That's a big deal. On the analytics front, just lay that out a little bit from a creator standpoint, what kind of analytics that they can have and how that plays into the Koji story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we provide, built-in analytics for them, which give them kind of all the basics of how many people are engaging with them, where the people coming from, both refers and sort of geo, trends over time, all of those basic foundational things, time spent on their profile, conversion, etc. And then we also give them a capability, we call it plugins, where they can plug in any third-party analytics, like Google Analytics or Facebook or like any of these other things. And again, make it trivially easy for them to do. And then they can get, the deepest analytics that, they could possibly imagine. Those things tend to be, require sort of more sophistication to use that most people don't have time to dedicate to doing that. Right. And so we've taken sort of digested the core things that they really need into super easy to use and then allowed them to extend it in whichever way they want. Okay, gotcha. And then what's the distribution model for you? You have 150,000 creators right now. Is it just, all these audiences learn about you just by seeing Koji and just tell us a little bit more about how you get massive. You're already very big, but how you, become really like completely logarithmically up into the heavens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but because this is something that is used in public by
Yeah.
definition,
Yeah.
it gets exposure, to other people. And so creators tend to watch what other creators do and learn from each other.
Sure.
And in this case, that obviously works to our advantage because they see these very expressive, profiles in the wild with background videos and all these capabilities. And they compare it to things that they've been using before, for example, like Linktree or some of these earlier generation link and bio services. And it's sort of like night and day. And so they say, oh, wow. And then they sign up. And then, of course, they over time tune up that profile, trying to understand which apps they should use, how to sort of best approach that.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, there's a bunch of word of mouth where some creators are very evangelical, where if they find something they really love, they start talking about it. Again, this thing is quite attractive to creators.
Yeah, I mean, it's just inherently viral, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt when you have a $20 million raise and that's announced all over the place, including a major feature in the information, which was a nice story about what you guys do.
Yeah, and the Atlantic published yesterday, and two published today, and so certainly all of that. But I think the real massive opportunity for growth is going to come as we continue to align incentives between all of these constituents in this ecosystem. Developers that write code and innovate and create more of these, modules, these mini apps that creators can add to their link in bio.
By the way, I want to stop you on that because I think that's really important. We talked a lot about the creators and how they can use Koji, and you talked about the business model there a little bit, and just the ease. It's, from the creator standpoint, you have all this power, these powerful additions into your bio, and some of them are monetizable, some don't need to be monetizable, and you get to set the rules of the game. Just like with a Cameo, you charge whatever price you decide to charge. So that's extremely powerful. You can customize it, all the kinds of things that you showcased. But it's the marketplace of developers who are creating all these apps for you. So describe the business model for them and their incentives for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the real powerful part of this. This is sort of the supply side of the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Like what apps are available. So there, the dynamics are similar to app stores, which is when developers build these mini apps and put them in our app store, and those mini apps are then used by creators to make money. We take a percentage of revenue and we split that with the developer that created that mini app.
Okay, gotcha.
Developers innovate, and those innovations are used by creators. The developers make money. Yeah, and potentially a tremendous amount of money, because the dynamics of, especially influencers, people that could show up and be making millions of dollars on these engaging consumers, that flows to developers, and we share with them in that revenue.
Okay, gotcha. And so let's go on a little bit into a little bit more Web 3.0 land. So we talked, creator economy, it all kind of integrates together. But one of the very hot topics, and has been all for the past several months, has been the NFT space. So tell us how first of all, what you think of the world of NFTs. There are a lot of people who are huge believers. I'm a big believer in the promise of communities that are established through NFTs, where you have artists who can directly support their fans through through a direct link community that's creating a community economy, essentially, where everybody wins. You don't have the middleman coming in to take a big extracting thing. You connect directly. It could be a limited membership, essentially. Think of it as a club, a community that way, and your fans can support you. Which gives you the opportunity to create more. They'll promote you because they want to build the bragging rights. It's cool to be part of it, but also they want to build a value in it and get the word out. And then there's the opportunity to even share in that value that you helped create for the artist. So I believe in the ultimate promise of NFTs in a very big way. A lot of skeptics out there. A lot of haters out there about NFTs, and there's definitely a land grab, not a land grab. There's a lot of money That's, people are coming in and out trying to make a buck on that too. So first of all, I guess your thoughts about NFTs, and then secondly, how you see that playing into Koji or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe very quickly, let's carve out some pieces and put them to the side, because certainly not relevant to what we're focused on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of speculation of people, trying, to your point, trying to make a buck on all of this activity. That's perfectly fine. I encourage those people to keep playing the game that they're playing. And yes, there's lots of people that have opinions about that. I'm going to hold mine.
Okay.
But what we very much are focused on, and that's actually where I was going, is the ability to align incentives between participants in a relationship. And in this case, again, the relationship within Koji are developers that are investing time and their skill in innovation, in building new and powerful capabilities that can go on your global profile that allow creators to engage consumers. So developers, the creators, and the fans, and Koji, right? Those are sort of the constituents. And not necessarily just NFT, but sort of crypto, right?
Yeah.
And blockchain allow us to track all of that, and to track the value created by developers and creators. As creators choose which apps they choose to use, there's a relationship that's created. As consumers choose which creators they engage with and how. And all of the wealth that is then created from that can be equitably distributed to all of the participants in this symbiotic relationship that exists. And that's a very, very powerful force that we think is unbeatable in creating that hyper growth that you were talking about. Like, how do you go beyond word of mouth and all of that? We think it's by aligning incentives, and as we do that, then everybody wins. And if everybody wins, then we think that's the right world sort of to live in.
But so what does that look like for you guys? How does that manifest itself in? Are you creating some kind of, or are there applications that are being created for Koji that are along those lines? So again, I'll use the label NFT in this particular case. And what's the timing, kind of your roadmap there?
Yeah, for sure.
Although it's created by the developer economy and the developers out there, but nonetheless.
Yeah. So a few months ago, we made a big splash as we announced in 1 week 10 offerings in Web3, sort of bridging Web3 and the creator economy. 6 of those were mini apps that creators can add to their link in bio, to their profile. And then 4 were developer scaffolds, things for developers to much more rapidly build, distributed apps and other types of things, generative art projects and PFP projects and things like that. And so we started there. Next week, we're announcing another big app. I can't give it to you here, but
come on, Dmitry, come on.
I'll give you
break the news right here.
I'll give you a bit. The ability to sell NFTs directly on your link in bio inside of all the social networks without having to go to, OpenSea or sort of other places to do it. But that is just a tease. Again, all of these are parts of the evolution of our playing in Web3. And today, again, some of these other apps are unlocked with NFT, so you can take content, images, videos, links, lock them up on your profile, and then allow people that own one of these NFTs from a collection to be able to unlock it. And so you have to be part of the club to be able to have access to this content. Or a giveaways app where you can host a giveaway. And the only way to enter the giveaway is if you're part of the club, if you've got NFTs. or have messages, secret messages in a sense, that are out in the wild, but the only way to decrypt them is if you have one of these NFTs. These are already mini apps that are available in our app store today.
Yeah. So essentially, one of the things that I really like the idea of is for let's take a musician. No matter what size, as you said, you can have somebody who is like Kyle Smith. He has what you said, 16,500 followers. But if you have whatever it may be, you have an artist out there. And so you're dependent upon your streaming royalties, which are going to be minimal, and touring and merch and things like that. But with Koji, you're going to be able to have a mini app as part of your LinkedIn bio, or your LinkedIn bio that's on your, let's say, Insta. And you may have some free content available there, but you may have like a velvet rope for super fans, and that's monetizable. And one example of that would be kind of almost like membership, where you have an ongoing stream of benefits that are only coming to you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's what I think is, I think that's incredibly powerful for artists and creators and musicians out there. I know we have limited, oh, go ahead.
No, to finish that. So today we're creating utility for NFTs, right?
Yeah.
Bringing utility beyond speculation, real utility that can be used inside of all social networks, all operating systems, etc. Towards the end of the year, you'll find us, too early to announce here, and I'm going to be ambiguous here. Again, this point of aligning incentives that everyone participating in the ecosystem earns this equity in a sense.
Yeah, ongoing fractional piece.
Yeah, in this thing, and we're really, really excited about that, because I think that just fundamentally changes the dynamics of the entire thing that we've.
Well, okay, so if I'm going to read the tea leaves, and I'm purely speculating here, then you have an ability to right now, and it's a space I'm really, really close to, you have music publishing and master recordings that are being bought by the big private equity guys for hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're backed by billions of dollars. So you have the Neil Young catalog, and by the way, good for him and his stand that he took, as an aside. But you have like Dylan, $400 million, whatever. So the private equity guys are buying all these big catalogs. So, but for an artist, you have the ability through what we're talking about. So now you have the super fan who can come together and buy a fractional piece to support their artist. And you'll have an ongoing share of earnings or royalties on a going forward basis. So you can, let's say, make a micro investment, $100. You have enough people come together, and you can actually buy the catalog yourselves as super fans. So now you have the fans supporting the artist, and you have the fans who are sharing in the upside earnings on an ongoing basis too. So like that, to me, I think is a fascinating possibility, and it's already real in the music space. Mm-hmm. So
your tea leaf reading skills are strong.
I try to read the tea leaves. So you mentioned Instagram, but you can use Koji on any of your bios. So it can be on your LinkedIn bio. It could be on your Twitter bio, or
everywhere.
Yeah, it could be it could be anywhere. So I still haven't used it. I'm going to integrate it. I'm going to integrate it and add that to my bios. So finally, well, first, before I ask you the last question, how can people follow you and just your thinking? Do you have, just tell them about where you can find, if they can find you on Twitter or any other your social followings where perhaps you share some of your vision.
I tend to, well, first of all, I can go to koji.to/Dmitry, DMITRY. And there they will find links to all my services that I use. I tweet, I use Facebook quite heavily, and I post publicly, so they can always follow me there. I use LinkedIn extensively. Not so much Instagram. I use it, but I don't post very much to Instagram. Yeah, so I'm quite findable.
Yes.
koji.to/Dmitry, or just go to dmitryshapiro.com, which points to my Koji. You can have custom domain names to your Kojis, and we facilitate, all of the things required to make that happen. And so yeah, so I'm very findable on, and I share my opinions freely. They're completely free of charge because that's about what they're worth.
Right. Yeah, come on. And of course, you can go to Koji itself, and you should all check it out at withkoji.com. Just finally, okay, so you're always innovating and doing all that good stuff. What do you, Dmitry, do when you want to just kind of slow down and what keeps you fresh?
Well, I announced earlier this morning that my wife is due. We have 3 kids today, almost 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And in June, we're having twins.
Wow.
So what I do when I'm not—
Congratulations. That's exciting, daunting at the same time, but super exciting.
So, I could try to tell you about all the things that I now love to do. I have a lot of guitars. I am recently gotten into woodworking and playing around with lots of things there. But most of my time is spent, chasing kids around the house, making sure that they don't they don't hurt each other.
Well, good for you. That's exciting stuff. And so, as if it wasn't enough that you're doing all those kind of things, your family, which, I've seen your pictures on an ongoing basis, they're adorable, but expanding that's huge news. And then at the same time, you're also building the tech ecosystem in San Diego, almost single-handedly right there. Dmitry Shapiro, and I'm fortunate to be down here in San Diego too. Love it down here. A lot of ingenuity happening down here. And now, of course, in this post-COVID, or hopefully we're not post-COVID, we're COVID, but hopefully moving on to post-COVID, kind of what we're doing here today is really kind of transform the business too, where a lot more people are comfortable in terms of communicating this way. So it doesn't really matter where you are, as long as you have a great team of people. And there's tremendous talent, obviously, down in San Diego, and you've been fortunate to cultivate that over the years. So congrats to everything, my friend. It's exciting stuff. I'm really happy for you and the team for raising the $20 million by such A+, star capital out there, and everybody should check it out.
Appreciate it. Great to see you. Yeah. Thanks for being such a, supporter and confidant over the years. I've, told you that, I think, many times before. You've been extraordinarily valuable in my sanity and innovation. I appreciate all the credit you shower upon me about this, but you've been a very powerful sort of force in that. And of course, my co-founder, Sean Thielen, who arguably really deserves the credit for most things Koji, is just an extraordinary mind. That we'll get a lot more limelight soon as people realize who he is.
Yeah. Well, congrats to him too, and I appreciate those thoughts. It's always very rarely, I know I'm showering you with praise, but I try to withhold that to only those who I believe are really doing amazing things. And so from the very beginning, I use the terms must-know company with you guys. And I rarely throw that out, that it's a must-know company, but Koji is a must-know company. And it's tremendous validation, so it's wonderful to see. But congratulations, Dmitry. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. Keep doing what you do.